Welcome back once again to our forum on the 4th Congressional District, taking, well, good part of Fairfield County in southwestern Connecticut. We are here with Democrat Jim Himes challenging Republican Congressman Chris Shays, who declined our invitation to appear today. Let's move on to some other issues here. Congresswoman DeLauro, Congressman Courtney Murphy, and Larson voted with their parties more than 90% of the time. Would you be more bipartisan?
I get that question a lot. My jumping into this race has absolutely nothing to do with the Democratic Party. I've been a Democrat all my life because I believe that the Democratic Party really takes seriously the obligation that this country has to provide opportunity to everybody. But I jumped into this race for one reason, and that is that I've got two little girls at home, Emma and Lindley, and I get home these days around midnight and I look at them and I say, is the opportunity that I had, the economic opportunity, the opportunity for education, is it definitely going to be there for them? Are they going to inherit an America that is more respected than the one I lived in? Are they going to inherit an America that is more prosperous? I got to tell you, I may be the first generation of parents for whom the answer to that question is not a clear yes. And so energy, healthcare, rebuilding our economy, these are things that we must do. That's what I'm in this for. This has nothing to do with voting with the Democrats. It has to do with getting our country back on track.
Americans think that this Congress has done a horrible job. Their approval, rating is at a historic low. In fact, even worse than President Bush's approval rating. What has the democratically controlled Congress done wrong, in your opinion?
Well, a lot of people expected that when the Democrats took control of Congress that they would be able to effect a withdrawal from Iraq. And of course, on those issues, the president gets a vote. So that wasn't going to happen. Now, you could argue that, the Democrats should have fought harder. I happen to believe that that's the case. I can think of any number of areas where I would have liked to have seen the Democrats make a heck of a lot more noise in the face of this administration than they did. But I actually think Americans are frustrated because they know that the problems that we face today are huge and unprecedented. The economy, right? We've got 750,000 people out of work that weren't out of work in January. They know that we need to lead on energy. They know that it's unacceptable that 47 million Americans don't have health care, but they don't see the progress being made. And that's frustrating. I don't blame Americans for being frustrated. They know we need to fix these things because they know that we're the kind of people that does those things. Americans do big and great things. We haven't in the last 8 years, but this is in our blood. This is in our blood.
There are some critics who will often say that Fairfield County in southwestern Connecticut is in some ways a third world country. You go from some dirt poor neighborhoods in Bridgeport, lavish mansions, a few miles down 95 in Greenwich and Wilton and Weston. What would you do to reduce that disparity between Bridgeport and the wealthier towns that surround it?
Well, I've got three answers to that question: jobs, jobs, and jobs.
And how would you do that?
The problems that we have in the communities where there's a lot of poverty, and the poverty that exists in some of our urban communities is really very challenging. It's really very serious, and oftentimes in communities outside of those areas, they're not aware of it. And so, what we're talking about is the kind of development efforts that have helped places like New York thrive. You bring federal resources, you bring municipalities, you bring the mayor, you bring state resources together to build affordable housing so that people who are working in Stamford, and Stamford has a lot of jobs, can afford to live nearby instead of an hour-and-a-half drive away. Now you've created a residential area in a downtown neighborhood of Norwalk or of Bridgeport. People living there are going to eat in restaurants. They are going to need supermarkets. That creates jobs. So it's a question of focused leadership and bringing in the resources. Let's face it, a lot of those communities aren't going to be able to raise themselves up on their own tax basis. So it's about leadership and focus. This is what I did professionally for a long time, and it's what we're going to do starting in '09.
Very briefly, yes or no, do you support Mayor John DeStefano's plan in New Haven to have an ID card for illegal immigrants? What if it was proposed in Bridgeport? Would you support it?
Well, I think that the intention is a good one. The intention is a good one because now people who can send money home. But look,
so
this is a community of people who are here illegally. So no, I wouldn't support that.
I'm sorry to cut you off. You would not support it. All right, Jim Himes, thank you so much for joining us today on Faces.